What's going on, kings and queens? Thanks for joining me again on Keeping It Copacetic. It's time for us to take another moment to relax, kick back, put our feet up, get something nice and comforting that we want to drink. Yes, get you a glass of wine, a cup of tea, a shot of whatever, a cocktail, whatever, hot milk. That sometimes relaxes some people. If you're driving, get you a cup of coffee, your favorite soft drink, whatever it is. I like a good milkshake when I'm on the road, but if you want to work, that will definitely not be a good idea because somehow that seems to put me to sleep. Anyway, we are here to finish up Searching for Everland. I want to thank you guys for taking this journey with me and following me with this first book that I shared on my YouTube channel. We're going to do chapters 25 and 26 to just finish it up. Doing a recap of chapter 25, Portia just took another shot. She's just one of those people when everything's going good, she just knows something's going to go wrong, something's going to happen. And she just wanted to see if she could get a glimpse into her future, maybe see how things would work out with George. So she went on ahead and she took another shot of propofol. And in this particular experience, she went to the future and she saw herself as the first Hispanic vice president, Javier, and also the president died. So there's a lot of drama in that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into chapter 25. Read it on. Hello, sister girl. I saw your number flash on the TV screen, Paula said when she picked up the phone. Well, what are you doing watching TV this early in the morning? I asked her. I'm watching some of those flip this house shows, trying to get my courage up for Charles's latest venture. What's up with you? I got the divorce papers yesterday. Ouch. How was that? It freaked me out a little, but Pam flew out of here to go comfort Raymond, I said bitterly. Girls and their daddies, mama and their sons. That's how it goes, P. I know, but it's just that sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who has to stand on their own 2 feet. But do you need me to come back down there? Because you know I will. No, I'm just spinning. George is here for me, but he's been on call for a couple of days. Now that you're a free woman, you can go on and say yes to the dress. I'm not ready for that yet, and you need to change the channel on your TVP. Ha ha, you got me, but this is what the rest of us do when we can't sleep. Damn, Paula, that was a low blow. You don't have to hit me. I'm already down. What happened to the 10 count? I'm sorry. That was insensitive and over the top. I was just trying to make you laugh. Well, now I'm scared of what you got when you want to make me cry. Put together, P, before you catch the holiday blues. Why don't you put up some decorations and trim your Christmas tree or something to stay busy? Excellent idea, sis. I'll do that. Bye. Talk to you later. I went into the basement and brought up the boxes of lights and decorations. I wasn't sure if Pam would spend Christmas with me or Raymond, but I decided to do it just for me. In the evening, George called. Hey, babe, I got a reprieve finally. I'm home and the weekend isn't over. Why didn't you come by when you got off duty? I don't mind spending time there, he said, but it's another man's house. It's my house, I said, feeling insulted. It's the house you shared with him and raised your family, he said. Does that bother you? No, but I prefer to be with you where I don't have to be surrounded by your past. Is my past a problem? Not for me, but you haven't made peace with it. I was having a hard time, but the future is the only thing I have on my mind right now. Okay, well, for me, I deal with the present, and I still want you over here, he said in that deep, sexy voice. I'll be over there in about an hour, I said. Thanks, babe, he said and hung up. I better check in with Pam before I go, I thought, just in case she might stop by the house. Hey, Pammy, how are you and your dad doing? We're doing good. I think we're going to see a movie in a few. I was on my way over to George's and I didn't know when you might be coming back home. I don't know, Mama, she said. It depends. I was just hoping you would spend Christmas Eve with George and me. I would like to, Mama, but I think I'll spend it with Dad this time. He needs me more than you do right now. Whose opinion is that? Because it's not true. Give me a break this time, Mama. Okay, sweetie, I'll leave it alone for now. I love you, Mama. Bye-bye. I love you more, I said before I hung up, dumbfounded. Where was he when I needed him? I was the only one who had hung in there. I was being shut out. Why? I wanted to know why. I hadn't done anything wrong. Phone vibrated with a text. It was George saying, "Bring enough of your things to stay until New Year's." I pulled out a suitcase and packed like I was leaving town. I turned off the Christmas lights, grabbed the gifts I had for George, put on my coat, and walked out the front door to my car. "Hey, Portia, wait a minute," a voice shouted from across the street. It was my nosy neighbor, Cynthia. "Hello, Cynthia. Merry Christmas," I said as I popped the trunk to load up my suitcase. "Merry Christmas to you too, Portia. I've been meaning to come by and see you. I saw you had a lot of company for Thanksgiving." "Yes, my sister came down with her husband." "I couldn't help but notice that Raymond came over too. I thought if you two were working it out, he might be home for Christmas." "No, Cynthia, it didn't work out, and let me be the first to tell you that we are divorced." "Oh, I'm sorry, child. I know that's rough." "Yes, it is," I said, slamming down the trunk and walking to the driver's side door. "I see you're all packed. Are you going out of town?" "Yes, I am," I said bluntly, opening the door and dropping down in the seat. Cynthia grabbed the door before I could shut it. "I know Pam came home for the holidays. Is she going out of town with you?" "No, she's going to be staying with her dad for Christmas," I said, putting my hand on the inside handle of the door. "Honey, I see why you're leaving. I wouldn't want to spend the Christmas in the house all by myself either." "Well, you have a happy holiday, Cynthia, and I'll see you when I get back," I said, gently pulling the door from her hand and closing it. "I'll keep an eye out for you, child." "Thank you," I said, pulling away fast. I took my time driving over to George's house, enjoying the glowing lights of the season that flashed through the streets. It cheered me up to see all the individual expressions of joy for the holidays. I turned up the radio when I heard Donny Hathaway sing "This Christmas," and I hoped it would be a very special one for me, too. I just had to stop brooding. I had a tall, dark, and handsome man waiting to spend the holidays with me. What more did I want? George was always on point. He had his home tastefully decorated when I pulled into the driveway. He met me at the door with a hug and a kiss. I set my bags on the floor and stood in his arms, feeling the warmth and strength of his body and the genuine care he had for me. I tightened my arms around him and held on. "You want to go to church today?" George asked, rolling over next to me on Christmas Eve. "I think I would. It usually gets me in the real Christmas spirit. I want to go to a different church this time," I said, not wanting to take the chance of bumping into Raymond or Pam. We went to a Presbyterian church about 20 minutes away. "Is Pam coming over later?" George asked when we got home from the service. "No, she decided to spend this Christmas with her father." "I see," he said, sensing my unhappiness with it. "Why don't we make some snacks and watch a movie?" "That sounds nice," I said, looking in the refrigerator to make a tray. I sat down on the carpet in the entertainment room beside the Christmas tree and took a sip of the wine from the glass that George had placed on the coffee table for me. "My divorce is final," I said, looking at the perfectly wrapped gifts under the tree. "When?" George asked, sitting on the floor beside me. "I got the papers a week ago." "Is everything okay?" "Fine, except that Pam chose to comfort him instead of me." "Join the club," he said, putting his arm around my shoulder. "It gets rough, but it gets better." "I'm not going to stress over it. I just want us to enjoy this time together." Well, that's all I needed to hear, he said. "Now I'm going to open up one of these presents." It was a magical holiday. It all seemed too perfect, and I was so happy that it was scaring me. We didn't have the power struggle of young couples. There were no children to fuss over, no financial worries. He and I had met so simply. Things never worked out like that for me. What was the drama? The fly that was always in the soup? When was the shoe going to drop? I felt like I was visiting a beautiful foreign country, having a fabulous time, and soon my glorious vacation would be over and I would have to go home. It was right after breakfast a few days later when George came into the kitchen while I was cleaning up. "Portia, I've got to go to the hospital," he said. "My staff is short-handed and overloaded. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow or at least by New Year's Eve." "Oh, that's too bad," I said, trailing him to the foyer. "That's the nature of this business. Stay here, relax, and take it easy. Maybe you can come up with some interesting New Year resolutions," he said, putting on his overcoat. I walked down the steps to the garage with him and waved until the door closed back down. I went into the entertainment room and turned on the TV, but there was nothing on worth watching. George had only been gone a few hours when the house began to feel so big and empty, and I started feeling out of place. I'd rather be at my own house where I felt more comfortable. I reached for my cell phone and called Pam, but I didn't get an answer. Why don't I just stop by Ray's apartment for a visit? I thought. I wanted to spend some time with my child too before the new year came in. I grabbed my coat and headed down to the garage. George's Mercedes was parked behind my car, and there was no way I was going to take that fine ride on the slippery roads. I hopped into a small red Toyota pickup truck and backed out of the open door. At the traffic light, I dialed again, and I still got Pam's voicemail. Maybe she didn't want to talk to me. The last thing I needed was a cold shoulder. I made a left turn and headed towards my house. I parked the truck on my driveway since I didn't have my garage opener and went in through the back door on the deck. When I got inside, I settled down and realized that I had just escaped from one quiet house to find myself in another. The problem was inside me, and I carried it wherever I went. I had to get myself on track. I made a cup of hot tea and went and sat down on the leather recliner in front of the window in the den. I thought about my life from the time I was a kid until today. I thought about the lives that I had been able to experience, and then I saw it, the common thread that was woven into all the different lives. The year or the land, it didn't matter. Age, gender, or status, it didn't make a difference. There was always discontent, disappointment, or dissatisfaction with their circumstances. These feelings weren't thrust upon me in the different instances. I cultivated them willingly. The irony was that I didn't need to. God's peace was always there in the midst of all my confusion and chaos, but it's up to me to take it into my heart and mind. Why hadn't I taken it? Didn't I deserve it? I was responsible for a lot of my own anguish because I held on to it tighter than my own happiness. I couldn't do anything but cry for the time I had wasted. I lay in the moisture of my own tears and wished I could do it all over again. I was exhausted and wanted to sleep. I know I shouldn't even think about it, but there was enough propofol for one more injection. This was my last shot, whether I liked it or not. It wasn't like I could call David and ask him for any more. This would be the conclusion of my own private exploration of time. My expedition had gone farther into the future than I wanted to see. The question foremost in my mind is what the rest of this life has for me. I just needed a glimpse of my own future to guide me. I go upstairs and bring down my kit because after this shot, I will throw it all away. I get the vial out of the fridge and take it back into the den. I watch the white liquid as I suction it into the syringe with the normal dose where I could see my own past. There's a small corner left in the vial. It's probably just a few drops. Why leave that little bit in the bottle, I say to myself, and I draw it into the needle. I feel really weird taking this while it's still daylight, but I'm exhausted. Besides, I shouldn't sleep any more than 4 hours, and then I'll go back to George's house. I pull the curtains and lie down on top of the throw blanket on the sofa and find the vein to inject. Almost instantly, I feel the floating sensation of weightlessness, and I see flashing images. Then the images are fading back out to brightness. I can't seem to connect to anything. I'm moving so fast. I can't see the circling beams. The light is so dazzling and it radiates warmth and peace. I feel. That's the end of chapter 25. Let's just take a little sip of this mushroom coffee and head on into chapter 26. I'm flat on my back, feeling like I've been in a heavyweight championship fight. My arms are so weak I can't raise them. I must have taken several mighty blows to my ribs because each breath I take is accompanied with a sharp pain to my chest and my mouth is swollen. I open my eyes. Above me, I see an ivy drip on my arm. I turn to my left and it's my neighbor, Cynthia. Girl, you had me so worried. I have been through it tonight with you. When I saw that strange truck parked in your driveway, I thought somebody had broke in on you, honey. I called 911 and my cousin Harold was the cop who came. He pushed in the back door and we came in to catch the thief in the act. We didn't see anybody suspicious except for you. And when we couldn't wake you, girl, we called an EMT. I didn't mean to cause you any trouble, I said, straining to move my swollen mouth. Child, you was barely breathing and I had to do CPR on you. My eyes widened in shock when I realized what had happened. Oh my God, I said. Don't worry, honey, she said, leaning down close to whisper. I threw all that stuff you had in the trash. Nobody saw it. Thanks, Cynthia, I said gratefully in a low voice. Portia, what did you take? She said, leaning in closer. It was propofol. I was trying to get some sleep. Child, you almost died. Your heart stopped. My eyes rolled back and I looked up at the ceiling. All of my despondency and misgivings had nearly killed me. Cynthia pulled up a chair close to the side of the bed near my head. Girl, you have got to tell me. Did you have one of those out-of-body experiences that some people have when they almost die? Yes, I did, I answered, thinking about all the trips I had taken. I was with Nicholas again, and I even flashed through some of my past lives. From what I saw, the spirit lasts through eternity, transported from one body to another until it makes its way to heaven. Girl, that is so amazing. I've got to hear all about it when you get your strength back, she said, shaking her hands in excitement. Yes, Cynthia, we're going to have to do lunch or dinner real soon, I said, surprised that she would be the one I could really talk to about my trips. Our visit was interrupted when the nurse came in with the doctor behind her. Hello, I'm Dr. Tucker, David said to Cynthia. Hi, I'm her neighbor who called the police. Nice to meet you, he said, shaking her hand. Would you excuse us, please? Certainly, Cynthia said, standing up and moving towards the door. She gave me a quick wink and a wave on her way out. You almost took yourself out of the game that time, he said, checking my heartbeat. It was an accident, I said to him while the nurse took my blood pressure. There was just a little left and I wanted to get rid of it, I said to him in a low voice. Have you heard of just throwing it in the trash? I should have. It was bad judgment on my part. Anyway, you'll be fine. There wasn't any permanent damage done, he said. Thank God. Thank you, I said, feeling a tear drip down the side of my face. Was that the end of it, he asked, looking at me through narrowed eyes. Yeah, I'm done playing with fire. That's a relief. Anyway, you're still down here in emergency. We'll get you assigned to a room in a bit. I need to ask you for a favor, I asked, trying to raise myself in the bed. What's that, he asked, looking at me sideways. I need to be released. He looked at me with questions written all over his face. I don't want to have to explain this to my family. I know you can understand that. No problem, my friend. I'll take you home myself. My shift ends in a couple of hours. Thank you again, David, I said softly as I reached my hand up to pull his coat sleeve. We all have our secrets, he said, turning off the light on his way out. Lying in a hospital bed, I had to face the reality that I had risked everything, trying to fill voids in my life that would never be filled, and others that didn't even exist. I had to accept that no life is without heartbreak, and no life is without hope, and every moment is precious. David took me home, and I went straight to bed. I slept the whole night, so tired I didn't even dream. The next morning, I drugged my battered body up and drove the red truck back to George's house. I was lying down in bed when he got home. You okay? He asked, sitting on the bed beside me. I got restless here by myself, and I went out roaming around town, and I took a fall. I think I broke a rib, but I'm all right. I just need a few days to get back on my feet. I guess this means we'll be spending New Year's at home, he said, touching my still slightly swollen lip. You don't mind, do you? Baby, not at all. I've been working for 72 hours straight, he said, standing up. I was wondering if your offer was still open, I asked, watching him change his clothes. Which one is that, he asked, looking puzzled. The one about staying here with you. Absolutely, but there are conditions, he said with a stern look. Such as, I asked, leaning up in attention. You can't go back. It has to be forever, he said, lying down alongside me. That's exactly what I've been searching for, I said with relief. The end. So that was Searching for Everland, my friends. Just a little fantasy book, just a little something to let our minds just roam. So I thank you for joining me on Keeping It Copacetic and giving me the opportunity to share this book with you all. And I will see you next time for another book. I was trying to decide what my next book would be, whether it would be Farewell to Strange Bedfellows, which is kind of a political thriller. But then I thought to myself, our reality right now is crazier than any fiction that I could possibly come up with. So I decided we were going to do a whodunit because we all love a good whodunit. So it's going to be called Shortcut. So I'm going to start on that very soon. Thank you, and like and subscribe, and I will see you for the next book. Take care and be safe.